everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Welcome to beautiful Fort Myers Beach, here today on the west coast of Florida for round number 2 of the 2001 APBA Offshore Powerboat Series. Now, round number 1 took place over on the east coast of Florida in Daytona Beach. The waters over there were very rough and very choppy, very difficult for the racers to get a whole lot of speed. Today in Fort Myers, nice calm water, should see some great high-speed racing action. For an update on how the different setups will come into play here today, let's talk to my colleague, Bill Adam.
Well, Ralph, like on any day, this is the business end of the boat, only it's a little bit different business today. Now remember, the whole idea of offshore racing is to keep the boat out of the water as much as possible. Not out where you're going to fly, you don't want to do that, but out so that there's not very much drag going through the water. Sometimes in rough water conditions, these huge plates, these trim tabs at the back of the boat, are adjusted greatly going up and down, keeping the bow of the boat down. Well, in flat water conditions, you can almost run a neutral position, not very much drag involved there at all. This really destabilizes the boat a tiny bit. Further back, we committed these really sophisticated lower units. These are designed to just pierce what little bit of water comes at it from the underside of the beach as a propeller. In theory, maybe just catching the bottom prop blade as it spins through the water. But here is where a real science is involved. Choosing the right propeller for the right day. You choose the wrong one, you're stuck on it. You choose the right one, you get good acceleration out of the corner and carry great top speed. But for more of these secrets on propellers, let's go down to John Tomlinson, who won the last race, driving Drambuie on ice.
On the rough water races, you tend to run a smaller propeller. You want to stay in first or second gear in your car when you're going up and down the bumps. Or when you're on your dirt bike, you up and down the moguls, the bumps, not the moguls, but the whoop-de-doos. You want to stay first, second, third gear. So you gear it down, you prop it down, so you have good throttle response, get the motors in the power band. In the rough water races, when you might only be running 90, 100 miles an hour, flat water races, when we can run up around 130 miles an hour or better, you prop it up, which is like pulling a taller gear. So you can stretch out the speed, otherwise you'd be too short and you could be 20 miles an hour off the pace. So we prop it up and down depending on the conditions of the course.
Thanks, Bill. The calm waters and high speeds that we expect here today is bringing a controversy in offshore powerboat racing right to the surface. In car racing, it's all about getting the horsepower to the ground. In powerboat racing, it's all about getting the horsepower into the water to drive the boat forward. And that's what's causing the stir.
Ralph, this is the culprit right here. It's the straight shaft or surface drive that gets more and more popular with many of the teams.
It's a direct shaft that comes out of the back of the boat, and then we steer the boat with a rudder in the middle. That's in contrast to the outdrive, which has gears that step down, and the entire outdrive turns in order to turn the boat. Two different theories. They're both good. We have real good control with ours, and they're pretty much bulletproof. They're very reliable.
We've tried so hard to get parity in the boats. You know, we're down to the same weights, the same engine sizes.
Changes you. Back to Fort Myers, Florida, the Hooters Fort Myers Offshore Shootout. Now, this is a cigarette Factory 2 class. That does not mean that everybody in this class is racing cigarette boats. That's just a series sponsor. In fact, the Formula boat running in third. Having a pretty good run here today, Bill.
And this makes an interesting spectacle. Notice the difference the Formula boat was able to pick up around that corner. He's holding a very tight inside line and was able to gain back a lot of distance. Look at just skimming off the marker right there. Perfect position for him.
Miss one of those buoys, however, and you're in big trouble.
You don't want to do that or your day is over.
If you did miss a buoy, you would get a one-lap penalty, and Bill, for all intents and purposes, your day would be done.
Short of every other boat in the race breaking down, you would not stand any chance of winning at all, and so the organizers and safety committee are really intent on keeping this up.
Currently third, the F-277 boat, Viper Marine.
You know, again, I bring it to everybody's attention. Look how nicely these boats are riding in these waters. This is perfect.
Here at Fort Myers goes our third place boat in Factory 2. Let's take a look now at highlights from the one competition that took place yesterday. These boats a lot smaller, but Bill, awfully quick.
Yeah, they had a great battle out here. You can see they're remarkably close right now. They do react a little bit more to the water, basically the same water conditions. And look at how close this gets right here. Oh, just a bit. That's just kind of like a little NASCAR nudge saying, ah, I want that piece of water.
That opened the door for the F-186 to move through to take the lead. They would end up taking the win as well. Purple Haze Racing picking up the victory in Formula One. But but a great battle behind them in second place. These two boats really having at it as it started to get a little bit choppy here.
It did right here. They're going through the wash of some of the other boats, and neither one wanted to back off the throttle. They desperately want that second place prestige, money, and points.
MCS Activator, that's that green and yellow F127 boat, ended up holding on to second. There's the Purple Haze guys celebrating as they're making their way to the checkered flag.
He is happy.
Yep, nobody behind us. We're good to go. Back to the action now with the Factory 2 class. And your leaders out front, the Utz Quality Foods Pier 57 boat. Luke Dickey, the driver, Super Cat Light inboard. Ralph Shaheen along with Bill Adam. This is the Baja Super Cat Light inboard division. The Peppers boat out front. Bill, these guys racing with some heavy hearts today.
They have. Unfortunately, there was a death that took place just a short time ago, and perhaps it's the best thing of all to get them back racing, get their minds occupied.
It's a father and son team, and the son, Michael Stancombe, lost the mother of his son and his son in a car accident just days before this race. The Flowmaster boat, Baja Super Cat Light outboard. This boat has been up and down all day. Started out in the very front, then slipped back to third, and then fought their way back to the lead, and they've stayed there now.
Well, I think perhaps they played a little bit of a waiting game at the start, but now they've got this thing motoring, and it is flying ahead of their competition.
We don't want to go out here and run too damn fast either and have Michael throw weight in the boat. I think we're pretty even. We went out there and then we stayed.
The Volvo Penta on board, they're thinking strategy even with the sanctioning body.
There's an old axiom, you win at the slowest possible speed, and boy, that would pay dividends for them today. On right there, the back end, almost like a car on snow, started to come out on him, and he caught it very fast.
No Limits running in second place. As you get a peek inside the cockpit.
Little more movement on the boat, you see, but he's running in some of the wakes of the other boats.
The boat seems a little bit smaller in stature as well, and that can affect how that boat's going to run. Well, the laps are winding down, and let's update you on the Cigarette Factory 2 series. The Utz Quality Foods Pier 57 machine is still out front. That's the yellow boat. But the Lake Cumberland Marine Rusty Wallace-sponsored white machine with Mitch Miller, the owner and throttle man, really charging up on the inside.
He did, and that's very interesting. He's obviously got a different theory here. He felt that the smoother water on the inside of the corner was the place to be. Now, he would scrub off a little bit of speed by turning sharper rather than taking that big, long, looping corner, but he gets his boat into good, clean water and did pick up quite a bit of ground there.
Jim Arvis behind the wheel of the boat owned by... It's a chance for teams and fans to mingle and get to know each other in a relaxed setting. Look forward next time you make it to an APBA offshore event. I guarantee you, Bill Adam will be there serving up the fun and festivity.
You do know me, don't you?
This is always a good time, though. It's a great opportunity to get to know the guys a little bit better than you would at the races. Here's a look at the finishing results of Factory 2. Now, you'll notice that the Utz machine has been taken out of the winner's position. That's because the gas that was used in their boat did not pass post-race tech inspection. So the Lake Cumberland Rusty Wallace machine owned by Mitch Miller was credited with the win. That also means in the Mercury Racing Constructors Championship in Factory 2, Mitch Miller and Jim Arvis will also be the point leaders.
And in Super Cat Light outboard, Ralph is right now down at the Lucas Oil winner circle.
I was definitely a lot calmer than Daytona. And I don't have a headache now, which is nice. But it was a good time. We had a good time.
How much were you backing out in the corners?
We were coming down to right around 75 miles an hour in the corners. And once we get the boat nice and set, we'd go ahead and get back in it and come back through.
Todd, is this the kind of conditions you were just hoping for with the Flowmaster boat?
I like it a little bit rougher, but that's okay. We had a good time.
What's it going to take for you guys to clinch the championships this year?
Just keep the throttles open.
And even when they win, they still complain a little bit, but his smile says it all. Now, here are the Super Cat standings, and we'll go back down to Ralph with a very emotional Stancombe crew. They're winning today in Peppers.
Well, Mike are ready to scream along Fort Myers Beach on a beautiful day. Let's take a look first at the Outlaw highlights from yesterday before we get into our Super Cat racing. Here's the Baja Outlaw class. And these two, P461 and the Bat Boat, the blue machine on the outside there, Bill, ran just like this for about 6 laps.
The blue machine is the zero-cavity boat, and yes, it does look like Batman should be driving it, but you can see they had a terrific battle going on here. Back and forth, they're both running as hard as could be, and in fact, the pressure was to show because right there, a wave was caught. Here's another look at it. He gets up on the side, and suddenly, before he can do anything at all, the boat's sideways and flips over. Now, everybody safe and sound, but what a spectacular incident.
Gerardo Santiago and Enrique Ochoa both were able to climb out without any problems. The boat, however, did suffer some damage and was towed back in. In P3, the Costa brothers, Guy and Kent, the Mobile Special FX, started dead last.
Came through this weekend. They were to come all the way up here from Trinidad, a team that had never competed here before, and they win, proving that, yes, you can indeed come against the best and win. And here's a look at all of our Outlaw Class winners. Every one of them happy. Outstanding job. Great racing. And let's get down to Ralph, talk with one of our pre-race favorites.
Well, Jack, the engines are firing. You guys are just about set to go. What do you think about the conditions today? You guys set?
Yeah, we've done real good in testing. I'm excited. We're going to race.
One of the hot stops on the APBA Offshore Tour. Had a great time here. Here's a look at the starting lineup for the Baja Super Cat division. And a very heavily packed field of very top-performing boats. Should be a great show. We talked to some of our pre-race favorites earlier, starting with Mark Nemshaw.
Well, I think it'll be the heat and the humidity today and the strong competition that we've got. Great field, so we just need to concentrate 100% of the time. But the water's calm. It'll be a little bit breezy, I think, but that'll make for some big high speeds.
Generally, these flat water races, you got to get the boat up front and you got to keep it up there if you want to win. And you got to push the motors, you got to twist them a lot of RPM, and there's no giving it a break. There's no coming off the throttle, so you're constantly just loading the engines and holding them and not lifting them until you make your turn and then you're back on it. So I think it's harder on the equipment on the higher end on these.
Our strategy is we got to get the boat up fast, up on top of the water, airing it out, using the tunnel, and get the boat floating as fast as we can on top of the water.
Well, the boats are all coming out of the milling area. We're ready for a start. We have a start, and the Baja Super Cats are thundering here at Fort Myers. Look at
We'll start here. There can't be any complaints about so-and-so jumping. They're side by side.
and a good indication of just how evenly matched all these boats are, because everybody is flat out and nobody's just dominating and pulling away.
Although another indication of power. Look at Tommy Bahama stretching out right now.
On board the Volvo Penta, on board camera with the Nemshoffs, Paul and Mark. Father-son team going at it. Now on board the Carlos and Charlie's boat, driver Jack Carmody.
I'm not moving. Go, Dave. Go, Dave. Go back off.
Boy, and that is close running. Look at the speed.
Wait. Go get it.
He's talking about the Drambuie ice boat right alongside.
Yeah, he is really intent. He does not want to get out of the throttles at all.
That's off the backside of the Drambuie ice.
Oh, man.
Wow, look at that.
That is amazing. You've
Now
actually...
in class, the Nemshoffs, Mark and Paul, are leading on the Tommy Bahama boat. But what a great battle for second going on behind him. Drambuie on ice just in front of Extreme Carlos and Charlie.
Boy, it got even tighter. Well, you just heard his displeasure. You are supposed to give your competitors room, and there was no room. He had to go through the spray.
Carmody and Jackson were absolutely blinded for about 2 seconds by that wall of water, and with the water changing every instant, well, it's incredibly difficult to deal with. That is some extreme conditions. So let's take a look at our GM Vortec offshore view. You want to talk about extreme, Bill? These boats are pretty extreme from one end of the spectrum to the other.
They are indeed. Now, this graphic shows just how extreme it is from the smallest to the top classes. Look at this, from 84 to 135 miles an hour and 30,000 to a million. Excuse me. In rough water, 20 G's of loading. You think that doesn't beat you up?
This is some very, very serious speed and brutal pounding that these drivers go through in these conditions. Now today the high G's will be in the corners like Drambuie and Ice and Extreme Carlos and Charlie's just got through.
Got it? Yeah.
This is good teamwork.
Come on, baby. Fly now.
Wants to fly that boat. He wants to get it up out of the water.
He wants to, and this is experience working. Dan Jackson on the throttle is working with Jack Carmody steering the boat. Dan is trying to help Jack every way he can. Use some of his experience.
Drives are coming down, okay? Yeah, easy.
Drive's coming down. He wants to give him a little more control in the corner.
Yeah. Back in it.
Back in it. Get on the throttle.
Drives are coming up.
Drive's
Right.
coming up.
Right. Got it.
With,
Got it.
with the drives coming up, he wants that boat to start flying and pick
Come
up
on,
as
baby.
much speed as he can.
Eat.
Feed the horses. Get the horsepower.
Watch what I'm going to do here. I got a new strategy. All right, let's go. Go left. There you go. All right. I'll show you.
Now notice he is letting the boat go way wide. He wants to carry all the momentum that he can. Try and pick up some of the ground.
Changing his strategy right in mid-course. You can hear him saying, I got a new strategy. He obviously saw something.
Right down. Good job, Jack. Good job, Jack. Good job. You got it.
You pat him on the back.
You got it. Stay in the white water. Come in the harbor. I got it.
Okay,
Stay in the white water.
staying in the right water, in the white water, trying to keep things a little bit smoother. Just an extra 3, 4, 5 miles an hour through the corner. Look at him steering as gently as he can.
And they've gotten around the Drambuie and Ice boat for second now. They'll set sail after the Tommy Bahama machine.
Oh, and they are flying. This is great teamwork right here. This is exactly what it's supposed to be. You have somebody helping, coaching, telling you how to go fast, how to stay safe.
And that's who they're trying to catch. The Nemshoffs, Mark and Paul, and that beautiful Tommy Bahama.
I am glad we're down here and not up there.
This guy really put on a great show. Let's give you a look back at the Super V series and see how things are going on there in the Lucas Super Vs. Boy, Genetics has just dominated this one, Bill.
They have really put on an impressive show today because I thought Muscle was going to come up and make a challenge, but no, nothing doing. They're just flying down the water here. The boat continued to run perfect, very strong, very well behaved.
Now let's go back to the Baja Supercat series where the Extreme Carlos and Charlie's boat is out front. Drambuie and Ice has moved into second and the Tommy Bahama boat is slipping backwards. Now let's go back and take a look at how the pass was made for second place as Drambuie and Ice moved around the Tommy Bahama boat of the Nemshoffs.
Now keep in mind, in NASCAR you want to draft people, but not in the APBA Offshore Series. Look how close these boats came. Incredible. I think Tommy Bahama just physically backed out of it at that point because you not only have the spray, but you got a lot of wind coming around the boat. It's very unstable at that point. And now, coming back up to date, they're getting a good challenge here on the outside from Don Q.
Pat Patel and Felix Sorales in the blue Don Q rum machine on the outside without a good head of steam and will take the position. Give them third.
Maybe that is one of the secrets today. We have seen some really good passes come from boats running free, getting this long outside looping corner. They just fly down the straights.
Here's your Lucas Oil Products race reset. Your leader is the Extreme Carlos and Charlie's machine, averaging 111.34 miles an hour. Down the straightaways, a good clip of 135 miles an hour.
What a perfect place to watch this race from. The beach is packed with people. You see a lot of the boats out watching. Great weather for this, and the racing is everything that we thought it would be.
This is a look back to that Drambuie and Ice boat, and they are not afraid, Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson, to get up alongside of anybody, are they?
This makes such a good view. Again, a view of the Zenetics boat here coming down towards us, is dancing a lot of the waves. They have got a good lead just ahead of Muscle. They're holding this.
This one winding down now as we get into the closing stages. And you can see the helicopters screaming along, but the boats are passing the helicopters. That'll give you, look at, see how they're just pulling away at over 130 miles an hour? Gives you a good idea of the speed of these big boats.
Awesome.
It's a long last lap, baby. You just hold your breath. Stay together.
Can't breathe. Bubba trying to encourage the boat to make it on this last lap. And by Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant of the American Powerboat Association Offshore Pro Series. And by Liberty Coach, the official motor coach provider of the APBA Offshore Baja Pro Series. Well, it's been a great weekend of racing here at the Hooters Fort Myers Offshore Grand Prix as we take a look at the results of Lucas Super V.
Well, Zenetics pounded them today, and let's get down to that Lucas Oil winner's circle with Ralph and the happy winners.
Tell me about the calm conditions. How much of an advantage was that for you today?
Well, it's one of those days that is kind of a calm, high-speed chop. You want to run all the speed you can, but the chop keeps you, kind of on your toes. It's one of those days you got to be really on top of your game.
Here's our big Baja Super Count winners, Jack Carmody on the left, Dan Jackson on the right, getting ready to party up in the wet pits. And as you take a look, you can see Tony Bahama was disqualified due to an illegal rev limiter.
Yeah, one of those things that just allows the engine to run a lot higher than it should normally, and as a result, they are excluded. But now, to meet the happy winners, let's get back down to the pits with Ralph.
All right, big guy, tell me about this thing. How did you make the pass? What happened?
Man, I tell you, Jack was just fantastic. It was all in the... Hey, buddy, how you doing? It was just incredible. We didn't get any faster. Our cornering was just that much better than everybody else. And Jack was just so fast in the corners, and we were coming out 100 miles an hour every time, and they were slowing down. And wow. I think we were just having it on the straightaway. We never got any faster during the deal, but Jack just did a fantastic job.
All right, Jack, tell me about the flat water. Was that a big advantage for you guys today?
No, it was a little choppy out there, but right from the start, Dram Buoy,